Hey everybody, it's Brad again with another video for MasterWorks 3 for you. Today what we're going to do is a project called faux knitting, and it's going to create a square or rectangle of fabric that's made out of yarn. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Jenny Haskins has some really cool stuff that she's done with this technique. So if you just do a Google search for Jenny Haskins faux knitting, you'll find some examples. Like she's made a jacket out of it and some other stuff. In fact, this month in Floriani Club, I'm going to be doing this technique. It's done a little bit differently in Floriani, but I figured for those of you with MasterWorks 3, I may as well do a quick video showing you how to do the same technique. So the first thing we need to do is select what hoop we're going to use, and you go up to your hoop button here and choose select hoop. I'm going to do the 300 by 200 hoop, which is the large hoop for the Illissimo. You just pick the biggest hoop that you have. So like if you've got a machine that the biggest hoop is 130 by 180, which is 5 by 7, like the Allure, you pick that. Whatever the biggest hoop you have is. So I'm picking my biggest hoop here. Click OK, and my hoop outline appears. There it is. So the next thing we need to do is draw a rectangle. And we want our rectangle to be as big as it can be within this hoop size. So first we go to artwork on the little pencil here and click on the little arrow below it and choose rectangle. And draw a rectangle by left clicking and dragging a box like so. And we want to make this again as big as it can possibly be within the hoop. So in order to do that, we go up to hoop and choose fit hoop. So we click on the little arrow below hoop and left click on fit hoop, and it's going to make it as big as it can be. Alright, very good. Now the next step is to make a copy of this so that we have two of them. So just go up in your clipboard here, this area of the screen, left click on copy, and then left click on paste, and we can see in my sequence view that now I've got two rectangles in there, and they're in the exact same spot. So anybody who did the lace class is going to be familiar with this technique because it's basically the same thing, just with a smaller density. We're going to go to apply stitches. Make sure you have your first square selected, first square. Okay, over here in my sequence view, you see I've got my first, well, the rectangle anyway, selected. Go to apply stitches, choose loose fill. All right, and down here in our properties, we're going to change the density from 4 to 20, and hit apply. See how I've got some nice horizontal lines going along there, very nice. And then we go to my next item in the sequence view, our second rectangle, and we're going to do the same thing. Apply stitches, loose fill, density 20 in the properties, and hit apply. Very good. Now what we're going to do is we need to have these, the second fill that we've made needs to be going the opposite direction. So what we need to do is change what's called the inclination, and you get to that by going under reform, which is over here in the upper left hand side of the screen, the little arrow under it, click on that and choose add inclination. Now we want this to be as close to perfectly perpendicular as possible, so look close at my cursor and notice that, see how it looks different when it's directly over one of these guidelines here? You want to start with it directly on this guideline where my vertical part of my cursor is gone, and just left click and drag, and it can be outside the bounds of the box because see how the little dot doesn't go outside the bounds. So I'm just moving so that it's right on that same one, and the whole line just turns white when it's on a line. So we're going to let go, and then now my inclination is there, but it doesn't generate until I right click with the right mouse button. Right click, and now I've got a grid. Cool. So that's the first thing that we're going to try and do is this. Now we take our fill here. We're going to right click on one of these. It doesn't matter which one. They're both in the same spot. But we're going to copy. Again, we could have done it up here actually. I forgot I did it that way earlier. Hit copy up here and then paste it. So we've got a third item, and we're going to take this, make sure you have this one highlighted, go up to apply stitches and make it a run stitch. And then also go ahead down to make sure that that's still highlighted, go down to your properties, change that to a bean and hit apply. Okay, so we've got our grid, and then we've got a triple run stitch that goes all the way around the grid. Cool, and that fits right inside our biggest hoop on our machine. Hooray! Now we want to add a little bit more structure to the inside of this, and also something decorative. So what I want you to do is go to your artwork tab, and after you do this, my way, you can put anything you want in there. It doesn't even have to be a running stitch, really. I mean, it probably is easier if it's a running stitch for the machine to sew it out. But anyway, so you go to your artwork, go down to custom shape here, and scroll down to the heart. There we go, heart, and left click on that. Okay, here's our heart. Now it's bigger than I want it to be, so I'm gonna go ahead and left click on one of these control points and size it down, and then we're gonna place it in the upper left hand area, and we're gonna make it a run stitch. We're gonna go apply, run. This also I want to make a bean stitch, hit apply. Now I want to repeat this throughout this entire area here. So the way we're going to do that is go to your Tools menu up at the top here. We're going to click on Tools and choose Arrange. And what that'll do is let us do repeats. So let's see, I'm looking at this thing. These hearts are about an inch wide. Let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Probably fit 5 of those in there. 1, 2. Well, that makes 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So we could probably go 5 by 4. So for number across, I'm gonna do 5, and number down, I'm gonna do 4, and we'll see what that looks like. And you can just play with this depending on what hoop you have. Is how many you're gonna be able to fit. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit OK and see what it looks like. Little too big, but that's actually okay, because while I've got all these highlighted, I can actually just click and drag one of these control points here, there, and then this one I'll stretch it out, and now they fit. So you can do that with yours. Now if you accidentally were to click off, you'd have to go and select all of your hearts again. See, if I click off of here, these are all separate. But an easy way to do that, see, I've got all these different ones. Rather than hold down the control key and then click on each one, which would take all day, just left click on the top one and then go down, hold down the shift key and click on the last one. It'll highlight everything in between. Now that's only if you needed to re-select all your hearts at once. If you don't need to do that, then don't worry about that. Okay, but anyway, now the design's done. So here's how you sew it out. What you're going to do is get some sort of sticky wash away stabilizer. Okay, it can be whatever kind you want. I mean, the Floriani people tell you to use Floriani. You can use the Baby Lock brand or whatever brand you want. It doesn't really matter as long as it is sticky. Wash away. All right, you're gonna need 2 layers of it. It's gonna have to be big enough to cover your whole hoop. All right, so to prep this, you're going to lay out your piece. Now you don't have the hoop yet, okay? You just lay out your first piece of sticky stabilizer and get it sticky so that it's ready. And you're going to lay pieces of yarn out one at a time. And you can either cut them or just do one continuous piece that loops around. Okay, but you want them to be nice and close together and have them stuck to that sticky stabilizer, right? Okay, so you lay it out one piece at a time, and they want to be right next to each other, real close together, and you want to make sure that it's big enough that it's going to fit in the hoop. So what you can do to make sure it's going to, what I did when I sewed out my sample anyway, which I didn't do well enough because I didn't put enough yarn in, is I took the grid that came with the hoop, and before I made the stabilizer sticky, I just kind of used the little holes in the grid to make a little outline that shows where the boundaries are of my hoop, so I knew to put the yarn outside those boundaries so that it was bigger than the hoop, which is what you want. So at any rate, we've got big pieces of yarn going all the way down, all the way down, all the way across, and just be careful to arrange them so that they're nice. And you can have one row going across, or you can also do going down and then also a row going across. It's up to you. And then you can add other stuff in there if you've got wool roving or something you want to stick in there, whatever you want to get the effect that you're looking for. I would recommend the first time you do it to just do it with some plain yarn, just so you get a feel for what it's going to do when it sews it out, and then get creative from there. Anyway, so once you put all your yarn in there, you're going to take your other layer of sticky stabilizer and sticky wash away and stick it on top, and then hoop the whole thing. Make sure you get it in the center, as long as you hoop it straight, your design should be centered right on where it's going to be. Essentially, you want to see yarn going through the entire area. If you put your grid on top, you want to make sure you see yarn in that entire inner part of the grid. Anyway, and then you go and sew this design out. You just sew it out with a complementary color, or if you want a contrasting color to make it, the design stand out, the little hearts stand out, you can do that. And when it's done, you trim away the excess. So I would take a rotary cutter and trim, and then wash it out. You're going to want to wash it out a few times and then let it soak for a while to make sure you get all that stabilizer out so it's not stiff. And what you're going to end up with is a piece of fabric, and in this case it would be like a 8 by 12 inch piece of fabric that is made out of yarn. So it's as if it were knitted, but it's all done in the embroidery machine. And then you can either just use that like as a placemat, I guess. I made one that I was thinking of using as a placemat for Meadow. I want to put something other than hearts on it though, to make one for Meadow. I want to do like little Meadows Chow placemat or something. I don't know. I haven't decided what I'm going to put on there. But anyway, it makes one that's like the perfect size for a child's placemat. Or what you can do is take a serger and serge them together. And make a big giant piece of fabric and then make something else out of that. So you could make as many of these as you want, serge them together, and then use that as fabric. So you get whatever pattern you want to use, and use that yarn fabric that we're making as the fabric, and cut it to the pattern and sew it like you would anything else, because it's really like a piece of fabric. Oh look, Windows is yelling at me about my color scheme. Go away. So anyway, that's it for this project. That's pretty much how you would do it. I'm just going to show you how to save it. You go up to your little magic ball here, save as, and then choose PES, save. First save it as a BLF file, of course, but to actually sew it out, you need to save it as a PES file. Put it on your flash drive. If you don't know how to do that, watch my video on how to put stuff on a flash drive and go try it. It's pretty cool. That's it. Enjoy, and I'll see you on the next video.